Manipulation often happens in plain sight. It might be a coworker, a friend, or a family member sitting across the dinner table tonight. This is effective because many manipulators lead with the behaviors of people you trust, masking a calculated shift in intent behind a familiar face. High intelligence is not a shield against this process. These tactics are designed to bypass the frontal lobe, the center of your logic and reason, and go straight for the amygdala. This is where your emotional responses are processed, often before your conscious mind has a chance to intervene. Our brains are wired to prioritize efficiency. When someone mirrors your body language or agrees with your values, your subconscious registers that pattern as safe. This biological green light causes natural skepticism to drop as the brain stops looking for threats in a source it has already categorized as friendly. Because this relies on shared human biology, cognitive ability alone is rarely enough to stop the hijack. Protection requires more than just intelligence. It requires an active awareness of the specific playbook being used against you. When an emotional shortcut is triggered, the brain struggles to process the situation objectively. The most effective way to maintain control is to recognize the stages of the trap as they happen in real time. Phase 1 begins with love bombing. This is a deliberate strategy to saturate you with affection and validation, far beyond what is typical for a new relationship or professional partnership. The speed of this process is intended to outrun your judgment. By providing an intense burst of validation in a matter of days, the manipulator seeks to establish a sense of deep trust before you have the data to support it. This is coupled with mirroring. A manipulator observes your core values and interests, then reflects them back to you. This creates the sensation that you found a perfect match who shares your every worldview. In a healthy dynamic, connection is built slowly as you navigate differences. Here, compatibility is manufactured instantly through constant agreement, which acts as a shortcut to emotional dependency. By the end of this phase, the earned trust of a normal relationship is replaced by a manufactured bond, leaving you emotionally invested in a version of a person designed specifically for you. Once that dependency is established, the dynamic shifts. When you eventually confront the manipulator about a problem, they often employ a psychological sequence known as DARVO. DARVO stands for denying the action happened, attacking you for bringing it up, and finally, reversing the roles of victim and offender. The flowchart shows a total inversion of the original conflict. This results in a state of confusion. You may start the conversation with a clear grievance and end it by apologizing to the person who caused the problem, as you are pressured into the role of the aggressor. If you don't back down, the manipulator may use the silent treatment. This is a weaponized form of silence, distinct from someone simply needing a moment to collect their thoughts. By withdrawing communication without an endpoint, the manipulator creates an environment of anxiety. This leverages your desire for resolution, forcing you to do the emotional work of repairing a bond you didn't break. This phase succeeds by utilizing your own empathy. It ensures that even when the manipulator is at fault, you feel responsible for the emotional stability of the relationship. To maintain long-term control, a manipulator uses future faking. They describe a detailed, desirable future, like a marriage or a career milestone, to keep you anchored to them. This graph illustrates the disconnect. While their present actions may be harmful or stagnant, the promise of a future reward keeps you invested. The future becomes the tether that prevents you from leaving a miserable present. The trap is sustained by the hope of what might happen tomorrow, allowing the manipulator to avoid accountability for how they treat you today. Manipulation relies on the process remaining invisible to the person being targeted. It is most effective when the victim cannot name what is happening. The most practical defense is not to become cynical, but to build a vocabulary for these patterns. When you can name a tactic, you change how your brain processes the interaction. Psychologists call this affect labeling. When you identify a behavior, like recognizing DARVO during a fight, you force your prefrontal cortex to re-engage. This logical labeling signals the brain to dampen the amygdala's emotional alarm, allowing your reasoning to come back online. By making the invisible patterns visible, you strip the tactics of their biological advantage. Understanding these mechanics provides the tools necessary to recognize a trap before it closes, making your mind much more difficult to influence without your consent.